Yo, what is up, y'all? My name is Robert Donaldson, and welcome back to another edition of Rob's Best Bets. And in this episode, we are once again talking about Major League Baseball here on Friday, May 9th. And in this episode, we have a really fun slate of games to pick from, a lot of player props I'm going to be putting out there as well. And on Thursday, we went 3 and 5 with our player props, with our sides, with our totals, and that amounted to a kind of a little bit over a -1 unit loss on Thursday, which means we're still well in the green here on the week. But hey, this Friday slate, I am so jacked to talk to you guys about it. And once again, those player props I'm going to put out are going to be going up on Twitter/X at RobDFB. But before we jump into those Friday bets, let's go ahead and take a second to shout today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. And if you haven't already signed up using promo code RobDFB, I highly recommend you guys do so, because here on Friday, we are going to have a host of underdog plays to choose from on the player prop side of things. So make sure you go on over there, use that promo code RobDFB for a deposit match bonus, and hey, go over to my Twitter/X page, and you guys can play along with me over there. But with all that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and jump into these Friday bets. For pick number 1, we are heading down to Tampa Bay, where we have the Brewers taking on the Rays, and the Brewers are coming into this matchup with Jose Quintana on the bump, and in typical Brewers fashion, they have yet again kind of taken this mishmash of starting pitchers and have made it really work, and Jose Quintana is one of the benefactors of that so far. And on the other side, even though the Rays kind of similarly do that over the years, this rotation has actually struggled in certain spots, and notably with Zach Littell here on the bump here on Friday. And he is a guy that has been getting tagged with a lot of hard contact. This is going to be excellent hitting conditions as well. And there are a number of really good bats in this Brewers lineup that right at this very moment are hitting baseballs extremely hard. I think the Brewers are going to be in this thing throughout the entirety of the game, whether that's the first 5 or the full game. But I say we go ahead and take a shot at the full game here with the Brewers on the money line for 2 units for our first bet here on Friday. For pick number 2, we are heading out to New York, where we have the Cubs taking on the Mets. And I get it, this Cubs starting rotation is never really going to draw a lot of strong money line prices because, again, kind of like what we just talked about with the Brewers, they don't have a lot of name value. But a guy like a Jameson Taillon is pitching extremely well to start the year, and a lot of his underlying numbers do suggest that he can kind of hover around this area for the entirety of the season. And when you're looking at Clay Holmes on the other side, eventually I think the shoe is going to drop where this guy is not a true viable starting pitcher. And right now he's sitting sub-3 with an ERA sub-3 rather, and I do feel like that's a good target area for some negative regression. And if we know anything about the Cubs this season, that lineup is legit, and it can hit off of anybody, let alone a guy who I think is just a little bit overrated in terms of those surface level numbers in the early going. So let's go ahead and take the Cubs getting that flat 1 run. And if you guys need the +1 run calculator, just go ahead and go to my description box down below, and there will be a link to one that you guys can use on there. But let's go ahead and place 2 units on the Cubs getting 1 run for our second bet here on Friday. For pick number 3, we are heading out to Kansas City, where we have the Red Sox taking on the Royals, and the Royals have been red hot. The Red Sox are coming into this matchup having won their last 2 games, and in this pitching matchup right here, with Hunter Dobbins on one side and Michael Lorenzen on the other side, I kind of like buying into the, kind of a little bit unknown with Hunter Dobbins, rather than the known with Michael Lorenzen, who I'm just completely out on. The strikeout numbers aren't there. He's not going deep into games this season either, and he's giving up a ton of hard contact with walks on top of it. I think the Red Sox, despite their, offensive woes in the early going, to some degree, can really pick it up in this game, even with the wind blowing out straight from dead center to home plate. And for that reason, I say we go ahead and take the Red Sox on the full game money line for 4 units for our third bet here on Friday. For pick number 4, we are heading out to Los Angeles, where we have the Orioles taking on the Angels, and man, the Angels have been an absolute disaster, whether it's the starting pitching, whether it's a guy like a Mike Trout getting hurt, or Anthony Rendon getting hurt to start the year yet again. And even though, despite those woes, they have won 3 of their last 5, so they are playing reasonably well, given the circumstances, given how bad this bullpen is, and given how bad the starting rotation has been. But Kyle Hendricks is on the bump in this game, and if we know anything about the Orioles with how bad they've been playing as well, they can get after right-handers, and with Sugano on the bump, he is easily the best starting rotation piece that the Royals have right now, which is also very sad to say, because this rotation is also terrible for the Orioles. But at the same time, when Sugano is on the bump, when the Orioles are playing a right-hander to pair with that, they're going to have a very good chance to jump out early and in really good fashion. So let's go ahead and take the Orioles on that run line through the first 5 innings for 4 units for our 4th bet here on Friday. All right, for our final bet here on Friday, we are heading out to Sacramento, where we have the A's taking on the Yankees, and there are a number of really good hitters in this A's lineup right now who are just absolutely tagging baseballs, and with Will Warren on the bump for the Yankees, I do know that the A's are going to produce. And when you look at the other side with Oswaldo Bidu, that's another guy right now who's giving up a lot of hard contact. And even though the Yankees have kind of had some weird offensive struggles as of late, and sometimes that is going to be the case when you play up against really good teams like the Padres, for example, but I really do think that the Yankees lineup gets after it. I think that the A's lineup gets after it, and I get it. Through the first 5 innings, the total is sitting at 5.5 runs. That's a beefy number, but at the same time, I don't know if they can set this number high enough given the 2 lineups and given the 2 starters on the bump in this game. So give me that over, the 5.5 runs through the first 5 innings for 3 units for our final bet here on Friday. All that being said, I really want to thank you guys for checking out today's video. And if you do want to show some love, make sure you drop a like in the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure you guys comment down below. But with all that being said, y'all, I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.